Hey, my name is Jeff White, and I am a Kingdom Factor coach. And today I am going to be just interviewing my friend Merea and asking her some questions about what she's up to in the world and how her faith is actually integrated into what she does for a living. And so, Merea, welcome. Good to see you.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited. And so, as we get started, would you just tell folks what's your journey to get to where you are with what you're doing in the world and the name of your company and what you're up to? Love to start with that.
Great, thank you. So I'm the CEO and co-founder of a company called Legible. We're at legible.org. We're a clarity company that builds brands for nonprofits. So we serve the do-gooders of the world, and that includes churches and faith-based nonprofits, non-faith-based nonprofits, and mission-driven for-profits. And so we have the honor of working with national nonprofits serving and equipping coaches for student athletes, all the way to small and medium-sized churches all around the nation, helping them communicate well with their websites or their brand identity, things like that. I used to be the creative lead at a big church here in the area. And it was just the passion I had to work outside of the context of a really big church, because there's so many
Mm.
people who really need branding, who are doing incredible ministry or, nonprofit service, and really don't know how to tell their story.
Mm.
And something God has given me and my team to do really well. And so the heart was to go and start this business to do that exclusively for people who don't have maybe even the huge budget that a megachurch would have to do really cool things, but really teach them and work with them on how to tell their story well. So that's a little bit of my story. Mm-hmm.
Love it. Is there something behind Legible, the name? Is there something that's important about that the audience needs to know?
Oh, good question. So I pitched the name Legible to my business partners at the time, because really what we do in the branding space is help you be as clear as possible of who God has designed you to be. So I think there's a lot of misinformation about branding. Oh, you're going to make us cool. Oh, trendy, or whatever. We don't really care about the bells and whistles. We want to be authentic. There's a lot of pushback, right?
Yeah.
But what we want to do is make you legible to the community you're trying to serve, right? Make you clear. Because if you're understanding who you are and the story that God is writing, then people will come on board because they'll understand it. So yeah, we just want to move into clarity and be who God has called you to be in your area. Mm-hmm.
Love that. As you said that, I was actually thinking clarity, clarity, clarity. How have you seen clarity help your customers, clients? How have you seen clarity help your clients move forward in what they're about?
Yeah. One of the main things that we do is create fundraising campaigns or giving campaigns, because that's a need in nonprofit space, church and
Yep.
nonprofit space. Clarity is essential. What I've
Yeah.
seen a lot of executive directors do when they're trying to raise money is, of course, they're super passionate about every program and the holistic way they serve
Mhm.
their clients or their community. Here's all we have going on. Here's how we do what we do. And as to be frank, no one cares about that until you tell them about the story, right? That's
It's
a
good.
second or third fold idea. You
Mm,
need to be clear about the transformation. What
it's
happens
good.
when you give here? As clear as possible, as simple as possible, lives are changed, right?
Mhm.
So when you do a marketing or giving campaign, that is where we drive towards something as simple as a statement or a theme that shows you the transformation that happens here, that might lack a lot of information. So you hook them in to the story, people will give decisions to give or invest when their heart is involved. And then they want to know the how later on. So that's always helped. The clarity focus has always helped a successful fundraising and giving campaign.
Love that. That was super clear. And I'm going to guess that you're working with organizations who have passionate people about what they do, right?
100%.
I'm just going to guess they're passionate about it. They either, I don't have time to think about this, or they're trying to tell their story or their messaging and it's very narrow, and
Mhm.
you get to come in and I'm assuming you get to like broaden that and also make it super clear. Um, do you see your customers, your clients, like do you see them like almost relieved when you can help them tell their story because now they can do what they love to do more?
Yeah. I think that is exactly what we hope. We hope that we come alongside and we feel like a team for
Yeah.
them. But
Yeah.
we want to do the marketing and the branding so that they can do what they do best, the ministry or the
Mhm.
nonprofit service.
Mhm.
They feel empowered.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times we start with this workshop that we call the Clarity Intensive. And it always gets a little emotional because they're sharing the passion of what they do. And
Totally.
then you can come alongside and tell that story. It makes them proud, right? In a good
Mm.
way. It makes
Yeah.
them encouraged, it's aspirational, and then we put it in language that is theirs. We just craft it intentionally. So
Yeah.
now they're able to speak it very clearly, legibly, in a compelling story, but it feels like theirs. So they'll talk about it even more. So they feel equipped both fundraising, development meetings, advancement meetings, pitches, and also keynote addresses, things like that. So it just feels, yeah, there's a lot of ways they feel like it
Yeah.
helps do what they do. Yeah.
Yeah. So in your past, like, are you a business owner? Are you an entrepreneur? Like, is that how you roll? Or was this something like, I'm passionate about this thing and now I want to like be an owner? Like, which came first?
Oh yeah. The passion for storytelling and branding came first 100%. I
Okay.
think I'm still figuring out how to be a CEO.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Not doing too bad, but I'm learning. It's a
Yeah.
learning curve for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
What have been a couple things that have shaped you as a leader of your business and how you lead your staff and interact with your client? Like what's shaped some of that for you that you can point back to?
Yeah. For me, executive coaching and transformational coaching. I went through a program called Awaken
Mm.
with an organization called the Gap Community. It changed my life, changed my leadership. And I was confronted with the fact that I had a failure of nerve and I was playing small in a lot of areas of my life
Mhm.
because of a lot of things.
Yeah.
Even unforgiveness at times, even fear,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
really what God has called me to be and who He's called me to be needed to come forth. And I even wrestled with that a little bit, but through transformational coaching, I have seen the journey of my vision come alive.
Mm.
And my vision to help people and churches is the reason I'm in this business. I didn't have an aspiration of being a CEO or a business owner or an
Yeah.
entrepreneur, but I do love to lead. I think God
Mhm.
calls me to that. So I happen to be in this position. I don't think I would have had I not had the gift of transformational coaching. And
Mm.
so just seeing my blind spots, seeing where I'm
Yeah.
contributing to a lot of the breakdowns, um seeing where I'm holding myself back and what
Mhm.
is true about what God's calling me to be and what might be something I'm adding on to think I can't be a powerful leader,
Mm.
or I can't
Yeah.
be bold and brave and step into that with confidence. So I would say that is one of the main things I attribute
Mm.
to getting into this place
Yeah.
now, and it's a continuous thing. I have a coach that coaches our leadership team in our business because
Yeah.
I believe in it so much.
Yeah.
So,
No,
mhm.
it's great. Yeah, that was gonna be my follow-up question. So you arrived, you're great, no problem. Everything's great now.
No.
No, now you run a business. Now you're a CEO and you're like, okay, I worked on me. I'm passionate about this thing, but now I run a business. And so, um, speaking of that, like, how do you see your faith? Um, how does your faith intersect with the way you do business, the way, um, you show up, and then maybe even a couple values? What are a couple values that are important to you in your business as a Christian business owner?
Mhm. Hmm. The first thing I would say is how my faith shows up. Well, in a lot of ways. That quote, like wherever you go, there you are.
Yeah.
So I bring my faith into every aspect. of the business. One joy I have is that we actually get to work with a lot of faith-based, so I can be free
Hmm.
about that dialogue.
Yeah.
And I see the Holy Spirit work in meetings where we're crafting a story and getting to know the clients and, you know, and we ask God for provision and he shows up. But I think a value from my faith is that, the Son of Man didn't come to be served, but to serve.
Mm.
And I have found that be the number one working strategy for sales because I'm the salesperson at our business. We're a very small business, a boutique agency. And the CEO is really responsible for the development right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hopefully not always.
Yeah.
But that is the number one thing that I have seen the Lord show me over and over is really, okay, how can I serve this person
Mm.
in a sales
So good.
conversation? How
Yeah.
can I serve this person? How can I see what they really need? And sometimes I think, actually, I don't think you need this.
Mm.
Or, and I think that builds a relationship that is trustworthy. And it helps along the way because now we have a relationship that it doesn't feel like I'm just schmoozing or like trying to impress, but really just serve. And that has helped us do a good job, you know?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things. I mean, our team comes
Yeah.
around the values of, there's beauty in what God has created and there's
Yeah.
beauty in storytelling, And
Love it.
so calling that out,
Yeah.
yeah.
I love that. And, you think of the way the Bible is pulled together. You think about the story that God wrote. He was
Yeah.
pretty creative. He was pretty creative.
Yeah, definitely.
And there's a lot of creative elements. There's a lot of Jesus shows up. There's a lot of serving, and you're taking those and you're putting them into your practice. Do you bring the same level of service to nonprofits that are not Christian based? Like, do you
Yeah.
treat them differently, or what? How do you show up with them?
No, we definitely try to stay in the same, posture.
Yeah.
We wouldn't change. Obviously, I would change my language.
Yeah. Yeah.
My language, but as far as serving the posture, no, not at all. And it's
Mhm.
a lot of them are like, wow, we can really tell you care for us.
Hmm.
Almost every time I hear something of the sort, and I'm always grateful. I'm like, thank you, Lord, because it's true. One, it's true.
Yeah.
And, that's just the Lord in us that
Yeah.
gives us the opportunity to connect with people in a deep way, and relationally. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's the same.
That's great. Well,
Mhm.
and I think you're standing out. I mean, even I'll just say, like, you're standing out to them as
Mhm.
somebody who's different than what they've been getting, right? The schmoozy sales phone or the call or whatever, right? Oh, we want to brand you. We want to do this. We want to do this. And you even said earlier, like, sometimes I tell my clients, you don't need that.
Yeah.
So no salesperson tells people not to use a service, right? Especially if there's money attached to it. And so I could see people, you talked about being trustworthy. And so well done. Keep doing that. It sounds like it's working, and it sounds like people are trusting you with their business, right? The thing they're passionate about. They're saying we trust you, and that's great. I love that. So
Mhm.
keep it up. Good job.
Thank you so much. We're definitely
Um,
towards serving people along the way with
yeah,
systems and with team and, you know,
yeah. I
not
love
perfect.
it.
We're getting there.
Love it. Love it. So in the midst of business, in the midst of running Legible, I'm assuming there's challenges from time to time. What's one like difficult business situation? Again, I don't need names, numbers, but like what's
Yeah.
a difficult business situation that you can think of that you've had to go through, that maybe even poked at your faith a little bit or stretched it or caught you like praying more than normal or something like it was pretty powerful or big. Maybe you could share what that was like and how your faith kind of helped you through it.
Yeah, such a good question. Like many entrepreneurial journeys, there's always alignment and misalignment in a partnership. And I had business partners earlier on that I still dearly love and connected to, praise God. They had a change in vision, wanted to
Mm.
go explore something else,
Yeah.
Um, One started a whole new different business. One became an executive coach, And
Yeah.
so not bad, but a big shift.
Mm,
And so one of the biggest things was navigating through that
mm,
with integrity and do I want to take this on myself?
mm.
And I was like, Lord, first of all, I've only ever been at the director level in an organization. I've had people report to me, all of that. And I've never been the one person who's the owner, CEO, right?
Yeah.
Should I do this? How do I navigate that? How do I ask for that? How do I step into that?
Mm,
And so I sought a lot of counsel. I prayed a lot about that. And I just decided my vision is still to serve the church and people who do good in the world,
mhm.
uh, help them tell their story. And so I was like, this feels like a great pathway to do it. And so that
Yeah.
was like the one of the biggest challenges. And then there are
Mhm.
like days that I feel like I just want to go work at Amazon or Starbucks.
Totally.
Like,
Totally.
clock in and clock out.
Totally. Totally. That's real, and that's great. I mean, we all every entrepreneur leader feels that
Yeah.
way, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
I call them quit days. Like, how many quit days have you had, like, since Legible started on its own? Like, how many quit days do you think? Come
I
on,
I
just be
cannot
real.
quantify that. There's no way. There's a lot. Um, and it could even ebb and flow within an hour.
Totally.
You
Totally.
know,
Yeah.
what am I doing? Am I doing this? And then you're like, oh my gosh, this just happened. Yes,
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but staying like focused and faithful,
Yeah.
and seeing God show
Love
up.
that.
Yeah,
Love
seeing
that.
God show up in both conversations, with people and partners,
Mhm.
conversations with right, like even the like building the office that we have and our lease, like
Yeah.
praying and asking God, like there's gonna be some shifts. We have to change the name. I have to set a new lease. Do I make a 5-year commitment here?
Mm.
Is the risk, right? Like
Yeah.
all those type of things.
Yeah.
The Lord just has to go before me. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I love what you said, right? And so it's faith. So your faith is in the midst of all that. Um, again, every day, every hour, your emotions could change because client said yes, client said no, something went well, something went wrong. Um, but you're fearless and you're focused, right? And so, God, if you've called me to this, let me keep doing this, and will you show up, right? Um, has he showed up in the midst of running this business? Has he showed up? Do you have any stories you want to share? Like, hey, I was asking for this and he showed up in this way. Again, you
Yeah.
don't need to give me names and numbers, but is there any
I
way that he showed up? Yeah, tell me.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I
love to
mean,
hear it.
for example, one time all the accounts receivable were late and payroll was coming. And I was like,
It's a real thing.
literally, what? Um,
Mhm.
and I was like, okay. And I became my own S corp only 1 year ago, and my bank requires 2 years as a business to give us a line of credit. And so I don't qualify for that because even though I've been an owner for 6 years, and I was like, okay, what am I gonna do? Like, all
Mm,
these things. It was a low point in the new takeover and all that, and like I just asked the Lord, and He literally showed up the next day, and everything hit, and now we're in a better place, right? As
yeah,
we're
yeah,
building, but I
yep,
basically had to start over.
right.
Uh, and so that even those things, thank you, God. And even I ask boldly to the Lord, like, would you specifically let this conversation go this way with
Mm,
my,
good.
partners and teammates? And the exact thing would happen,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
And now God doesn't always show up that way, but He did in so many ways. And,
yeah. Love
so
that.
a client would be like, this is exactly what we need. And they come up to us and say, hey, we were able to raise this amount of money, or look what God
Mm,
did last year in how many youth in LA came to Christ because we had this new organization. It was named well. People were interested. And those kind of things are just like, wow, thank you,
yeah,
God, you know?
yeah,
So,
yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because your clients are asking you for a service that you're providing. Um, Yeah, how excited do you get when you see what you implement with their business produces the results that they wanted? Like, how exciting is that for you?
feels really great. It feels, because one of the brand values we have here is our voice, literally we carved out, we want to be the friends
Mm.
that feel like your team. So we're going to
Wow.
approach the conversations, the emails, the contracts, and the relationship that way. And so we want to celebrate with you that way too, like when
Yeah.
things go well. So it feels like we're celebrating with our team,
Yeah.
Um, and I just thank God, because it's hard to be an outsourced branding and communication company at times,
Mhm.
because especially for nonprofits who lack the budget for really meaningful digital ads and campaigns. But if
Yeah.
we can see traction in what they do have, that is amazing. It's like the
Yeah.
loaves and fish type of idea.
Love it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it.
Mhm.
Yeah, and you get to be on the front end of that, right?
Mhm.
And helping them like, okay, we only have 2 and 5, but let's go try something. And
Right.
now we see it
Mhm.
multiply and it's amazing. So
Yeah.
that's really, really good. Yeah. Do you have any two-part question? We'll start with the first part. If you could tell yourself from 5 years ago or 10 years ago, like, hey, work on this because it's going to help you when you're a CEO someday. Like, what would you tell your younger self a little bit of? Like, what's one or two things you would tell yourself?
Mhm. Such a good question.
No,
um,
take your time. You're good.
yeah. One thing is to change your relationship with feedback,
Mhm.
and try to frame it as a gift, not a
Mm,
criticism.
good.
Um, because if you have, say, if I am in a space and I'm efforting towards something and I don't know what's happening for other people
Mm,
and I'm blind to that, I won't be able to see what I'm efforting towards come to pass, but I'll still be blind to maybe how I'm contributing. And everybody has that. Everybody has blind spots. Everybody has ways they're contributing. And
yeah,
so asking for feedback, say, hey, what are you experiencing from me? Tell me and then
yeah,
hearing that, be like, oh gosh, yeah, okay, that makes sense, and like adjusting. I still ebb and flow through being in a relationship with feedback of like, this is a gift and not like
totally.
encouragement, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and then for the second thing is like trust God. He's intentionally ordering your steps.
mm,
It seems like sometimes he isn't, and he's quiet.
yeah.
But trust God, because he really is ordering your steps, and he
That's good.
provides you in the lowest of times. He
That's
provides.
good.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean that both those resonate with me, and I think the second one resonates with me in like control. Like I
Yeah.
like to be in control. I kind of want to know what's going on. And when
Yeah.
you run a business, you really want to know like how can I pay for payroll? How can I do these things, right? You
Mhm.
want to be planned, and yet control sometimes looks like trust and just waiting for God to show up, and he does.
Yeah.
He always has, right? So even as you've been talking this entire time about your life and your journey here, I keep thinking about the word faithfulness, right? He has been faithful as you have been faithful. And so as a Christian business owner, what does faithfulness look like? And how could you encourage somebody's watching this right now and you want to encourage them as a Christian business owner? What would you say to them?
Well, remain connected to the Lord through prayer, time with Him, and other believers very closely. I think
Mm,
that is a mark of faithfulness. I don't know how you can do that on your own. Um, I can't do it on my own, you know?
right.
Um, he meets us in the place. And even realized even lately, I've been living in limbo because we're renovating a house. And my routine is off and I can feel it because I don't have my
Mm,
like space that I read my Bible in, and like all the different things.
yeah.
Um, not to be cliche, but that is very important,
Mhm.
to stay in that context, to have people that support you and ask you, people that you can ask for help and resource, and then remaining faithful, being in full integrity, as the Lord gives you, you know, the stewardship of your business. the faithfulness of what he's given you. And I'm struggling with that lately. I'm like, Lord, I want to steward this well, but it feels a little bit overwhelming. Like,
Mm.
and there are balls I'm dropping, so like help me
Mhm.
remain faithful in the stewardship. It's like
Yeah.
it's definitely a work it out thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and then when life throws things at you, but he who calls you remains faithful. Like I love that scripture.
Yeah. For
So
sure.
singing the Lord. Yeah, that's what
It's good.
I'd say.
As you run a business, do you have capacity or time, or do you make time to connect with other business owners, other female business owners, other Christian business owners? Like, does that happen? Do you make it a priority, or does it just naturally happen in your life?
It does not naturally happen. I've learned to make it a priority in the last year.
Okay.
But in the first 6 years, I was just surviving, right? I was trying to
Mm.
move forward, but the communities I get to be in, and I've even asked people and even put it out on my social media last year. I need someone who's an expert business finance, like in my
Yeah.
community, and I found
Yeah.
someone, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
It's great.
I want them to teach me. I'll take them to dinner or whatever, like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
or like asking other people to have dinner, lunch, being in a part of a mastermind community or something like that.
Hmm.
It is definitely does not come naturally.
Yeah.
But it's something that I've seen really, really pay off for me.
It's great.
Yeah, so I'm invested in it now. Yeah.
Have you heard the phrase, "It's lonely at the top"?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Before you owned a business, did you ever think about that phrase?
No, I literally just last night was telling someone the pressure of the leadership.
Mhm.
Though you might not have the amount of tasks that your employees have, the pressure is way more stressful than any
Yeah.
overwhelming tasks,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
And I've gone back and empathized with every leader that I know that owns his or her own thing.
Mhm.
Um, that
Fizzled.
I'm like, "Oh, okay," whether they're a church planter or a church founder, nonprofit, organization, or business,
Yeah.
it's a pressure. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a strength there. And I never resonated with I mean, I've always heard that, but I've never resonated or thought about it deeply.
Yeah. And now you're in it, and you feel it deeply.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, there's something about, like, there's stress when you're building a business, there's stress when you're maintaining a business, there's stress when you're at the end of it, I mean, there is a level of pressure, um, that you carry and is different and unique. Um, there's also joy, right? There's also joy
Yeah.
in what you get to do and how you get to show up in the world, and, but
Yeah.
you shared earlier about payroll, like,
Yeah.
nobody feels that except for you, right? Like, they're gonna get paid. They assume they're gonna get paid, so
Yeah.
they're waiting to get paid. You're feeling like, "I don't know how this is gonna happen on Friday, but God, you need to show up." And so, I love that. I love that you, um because it is, and again, it doesn't have to be lonely at the top, but, there are probably things you can't talk to your employees about that you're dealing with, and again, you need peers at, again, and you said you're in some of those groups, you've been doing that this year, that's great, and that's what I get to do as a coach in Kingdom Factor, right, is to be around people like you and pull them together and say, "Hey, we're all in different things, but we're all here really taking our faith and our business and trying to give it to God and trying to understand it and grow in it, and,
Yeah.
we struggle together, and so well done in that as well, just, like, even making the effort to do that, and, um, yeah. As we kind of wrap up a little bit, would you, um sorry, as we wrap up a little bit, would you, um what advice could you give somebody who is maybe a little younger than you, maybe even a female? Let's just talk to females. A female who wants to be a business owner. Like, what are a couple things that you would share, as a faith, as a Christian? What would that look like, for just advice for somebody behind you a little bit? And, what would you tell them?
If they're looking to start a business or they're in a business?
Start a business. Like, let's say they want to start a business or they want to grow into ownership somehow. Yeah. What would your words be for them?
Make sure you have a committed faith community is what with your church and your community of friends. But that's the first like real like kingdom advice that I would say, because
Yeah.
you're gonna need that.
Yeah.
Secondly, I would say get super clear. If you're starting a business, get super clear on your vision
Mhm.
and don't dip your toes in, see if it works, and then follow it.
Mm.
I think that one of the things that served my business well was being catapulted into the air and trying to figure out how to land the plane while we're in the air. Like, when failure comes, it didn't deter me from the vision, because failure and closed doors can feel like, oh, I guess it's not what I'm supposed to do. But when you have a vision, there's going to be resistance. And if
Mhm.
you're 100% committed to it, you will find a way. And I think every
Yeah.
entrepreneur is who's made it or continued to have a business, right? I feel like I'm in the beginning stages, even though we've been 7 years old. I'm now on my own.
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
I'm in my 1 year mark,
So
just last
right.
became my own S corporation. We're 1 year old.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, but it's like, oh, I have to figure this out.
Mhm.
And the Lord has to provide. And like
Mm.
instead of all these other options, like, oh well, maybe I'll work here just for security while I, do this. Like,
Mm.
is this the vision? Go all in.
Yep.
And then
That's good.
yeah, like that is honestly the best. And then I remember asking like 3 or 4 really successful entrepreneurs when I was starting the business, what would you say? And they're like, just prepare for the times where it's like the faucet's on, sometimes the faucet's off when it comes to cash flow. So you need to prepare for that because it's always going to be that way,
Still me.
you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, and that was always in the back of my mind. And I can really attest to that.
Yeah. That's good. That's good.
Oh, yeah.
That's good.
But yeah, stay committed, because if you're 100%, the failure is just a bump. It's just
Yeah.
resistance towards it instead of like, go all in. If you want to do this and you feel called to it and you find a market or someone to serve,
Yeah.
go all in.
Love it. Love it. Well
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
Well, as we wrap up, I want to celebrate you, Merea. Thank you for being on here, taking your time. Thank you for pushing in and making Legible exactly what it's supposed to be and what it's going to become, right? As you follow the Lord and you follow through on the things that you're up to, your team's going to grow, your influence is going to grow, and Legible is going to impact so many people locally and around the world because they don't have to be local. And so I just want to say, well done, Maria, and excited for what's to come for you. If somebody just wanted to connect with you, like how would they do that? Like where would they go?
Yeah, you can go to our website, legible.org, and fill out the contact form. My contact is on the website as well,
Great.
Merea at legible.org.
Great.
And I would love for you to check out our website, check out some of our work. We're iterating our new website at the end of June as well. So
Okay.
all of our new work will come up. So
Nice.
you'll see some of that. But yeah,
Love it.
Merea at legible.org.
Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Well done. Thanks for being here. Any last words as we go?
Um, hmm. No, thank you, Jeff White, for being awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, you got it. You got it. Appreciate you. And we'll catch up with you soon. So everybody, thanks for being here. Again, my name's Jeff White, part of Kingdom Factor, and God bless you in what you're up to. And just reach out to Merea, reach out to me, and let's go after it and see what God has for both of us. So thanks again for being here. Bye.
Thanks.